Next week on Monday, reminder for everybody, we will not have a live Zoom on Monday, a week from today. That's 7:15. That's the day that you guys can go ahead and take your online final exam. So we won't have a workout for Zoom A next week. You guys can just work on your final. And everybody will just get those points. Hooray! Okay, so it's week E. Spotlight on, recording. You can hear me. Backup's working. Yay! And our theme for this week, week E, is yield. So Donna Fairhey's yogic moving principles, just to review what they are, because they're on your final. I remember them by the words be scary. So B is breathe, right? We're trying to integrate our breath with our movement. If we're trying to create energy in our yogic practice, then generally we're going to inhale as we come up or come back to center, and exhale as we twist or bend. Breathe is B. E is engage. So next week we'll talk about engage. It basically means putting all these things together, especially thinking about the focus of your mind on your breath or on the practice, and keeping verbalization in your head to a minimum and just being present. That's what engage is about. And we're going to get to that next week as our main theme, but yielding really plays into it. So S for support, we did last week. It's that bouncy pressing into the floor actively. C, centering, is when we are using our musculature to pull ourselves towards the center line, and that helps with balance and having like a stable location from which to R, radiate. And radiate is when the way that we actively engage and extend through any point of the body. So that can be through your spine, it can be through your fingertips in any direction, it can be the spine to the tailbone, lengthening the spine, radiate. A is align. That means that we want to pay attention to healthy alignment for our joints. So the most important of those are usually knee and toes pointing in the same direction, whichever direction that might be. Keeping our shoulders dropped down, so we're centering our shoulder blades back, and that keeps our neck not so chin pokey forward like we do when we're reading or on our phones, but instead like you have that radiating feeling through your spine with your shoulders down. When we're in an arm balance, remember we're always bringing our elbows towards each other. Our shoulders are centering back, so that's all a centering feeling, and our fingertips are pointing straight up on the floor as opposed to pointing in, right? Because when your fingertips point in, it's a sign that you have probably released all of that centering action. And we don't want to have, a break in the wrist while we're putting weight on that. We want to keep that aligned for a nice, even alignment of wrists and elbows, but also of your shoulders, right? If we're not aligning our shoulders and they're rolled forward and we're putting weight on them, you can get a little bit pinchy. So we want to make sure we're keeping those shoulder blades centered down in the back, which drops our shoulders, which allows us to move through our full rotation of our shoulders without shoulder impingement. Align. R, radiate. Y, yield. So centering, supporting, and radiating are all like activating actions in the yoga movement principles. And yielding is it's the opposite of propping and stiffening and reaching. Yielding is the opposite of radiation. Yielding is the opposite of strife. So even though much of your body may be really active, for example, in a warrior two pose, you're in a big lunge, your legs and your abs and your shoulders, everything's working. Then we're going to add on this layer of yield, which is going to invite you to find a place and a way to relax in that pose. And this is an amazing metaphor for life. I think maybe you've had this experience. I invite you to see if you can relate to this feeling. When we're really in survival mode, just stressed out, doing everything we can to like make ends meet or make it through a really hard work week, or maybe, you're handling your stuff, but things that are just totally out of your control are adding to your stress level. Yielding is a way that we can invite ourselves to let go of anything that we can let go of, purely so that you have the opportunity to have less of a burden. Because often our stress about stress is an additional burden that really compounds the stress instead of actually helping us out, right? Yes, we want to focus on doing the best we can do. Yes, we want to do the best we can do. But sometimes focusing on doing the best on top of doing the best is actually not making our results better, and it's not caring for ourselves fully and giving ourselves time to be a whole person. And a whole person needs to recover. A whole person needs to have time to relax and rejuvenate and be with our families or whatever fills your cup. So even though we do in our practice, we also do not, right? It is the balance of those two things. So we're going to have a practice today. It will be active, but I'm going to invite you to get into your active pose position and then find the places that it's actually not helping to grip. Yeah? All right. That said, let's have some music. That was our little review of YEILD. So let's start in our easy pose. Finding our breath. And just slowing down. Letting this time of stillness be a little physical and mental ritual that we're entering into a different frame of mind. I'm going to release our concerns about other things. So whatever that might be, if there's something outside of this room that you're going to tend to after the class, let yourself, through this next breath, agree to let it be until after class. If you haven't taken a breath and given yourself permission to be here completely yet, take that breath now. Big breath in. And inside of your head, just say, I'm here now. Breathing in, feel your body elongate with that breath. And as you exhale, feel your thighs soften, your shoulders droop a little bit down your back, your fingertips and your belly. Let go a little bit. Find a softness and be here. All right, taking a breath in, we're going to go ahead and lift up our arms. And exhale down the center 3 times. You can keep your eyes closed through this if you want. You know the drill. Just falling into our practice. You don't need to be in time with me. Be in time with your own breath. Honor your body. And after your 3rd breath, go ahead and roll head to your chest and just pause right here for a breath. Take a big breath in and exhale. What could release a little bit? Big breath in. Roll down a little bit further. Upper back is curved, but lower back is still upright. And what can you breathe in and exhale, release. Two more breaths to get all the way down. And inhale, rolling up. Reaching those arms up in the air. We're going to exhale down and over to your right side. Take a moment to revolve that rib cage so that your shoulders are on the same plane as your back. And we'll take a big breath in. And circle the arm. Now notice, most of us are still holding some tension to hold the neck up. You're going to take a big breath here, and then I'm going to invite you to yield and release the neck all the way down to your shoulder today. Let that body bend in the middle today. Both shoulders roll back, lengthen through the head, radiate through that spine to come up, radiate over to the left side, revolve those ribs so they're flat with your pelvis, and then exhale and release the neck down. Now, I feel so tight right here at first when I first do this, so I'm going to let my shoulder meet my head to support it. Even though that's not normally where we want my shoulder to be. But at first, I'm going to just give it a little support and then see if I can drop that shoulder back down. And coming on up. Dropping the shoulders, taking those arms back. Before you go on, let's walk our fingertips back and just give yourself a little chest press shimmy. And then walk your hands all the way behind your hips, fingertips pointing forward towards your hips, not out to the side or in, but forward. Elbows are back. And I would like you to just knead the floor like a cat. You know how a cat goes like this on the floor? Or on its mama when it's nursing, right? Knead the floor back there. So we're waking up our wrists and our hand strength, and we're also having a very nice soft sway side to side. And can you let your neck sort of sway side to side? I'm still keeping my chin a little bit tucked down. And then after I've worked through those hands a couple of times, I'm going to take a big breath in and press my chest forward. Exhale and drop my shoulders up to my ears and release the neck. Just hang out here for a second, letting your shoulders support the neck completely, and see if you can really let go. Lifting my chest a little more. I'm going to exhale, bring my chin to the chest and curve my back towards my hands. And inhale and arch. An option to press up. I'm going to do that, but I'm going to move my hands a little bit closer and then roll up onto my knees, opening the hips. Exhaling my hips down. I'm going to bring my hands forward through judgy flamingo and switch my feet. Big breath in. Exhale, twisting to my left this time. I'm going to roll my shoulders back, draw my belly lock in, and press the floor to twist around. Looking with my chin all the way to the back of the room, so my neck is getting a really big stretch as well. Finding my breath, thinking about your spine as a unicorn horn. My assistant here is helping me know how interesting it is to look around that side. So think about, as you spiral to the other side, if there's something really cute behind you that you're going to look all the way around your back to see. And find your breath again. Shoulders down the back. You can press on the knee if you like to help spin yourself. Inhaling up. I'm going to send my shoulders down and my arms to a nice cactus shape. And I'm going to lean out. This will really warm my back up. I'm keeping my belly lock in, keeping my shoulders rolled back, and finding that place where I can crease my hips to lean forward. Go ahead and extend your arms up, but keep those shoulders anchored back. And feel your back muscles engaging. Supporting down by pressing your knees into the floor. And then exhale and really release. Yield all the way to the front. Big deep breaths here. And roll it up. I'm going to take my hands up in the air, palms facing back, right? So normally your hands face forward. I'm going to rotate those thumbs to the back inside and bend my hands down. Try to touch my own shoulders and roll those shoulders back and down, lift the heart. So I'm spreading the upper part of my rib cage upwards. Pulling my belly lock in, dropping my shoulders. My hip flexors are squeezing to balance me, but that's not where I want my strength to come from. So I'm going to jiggle those thighs out a little bit, re-engage my belly lock, and then lift up my chest. And try to hold on to my weight of my shoulders and head with my abs and not so much my belly, my hip flexors. Yeah, so this is going to hold my body up instead. And keep soft bounce in the thighs if you feel like those hip flexors are just gripping. Yield those hip flexors. Good, big breath in, arms come up, around, all the way to the back and press yourself up. Either just through your chest or all the way through the body if you like. Exhale, hip down. Inhale up. Exhale, curve. Go ahead and grab your legs into your heart. Drop your head to them and just give yourself a big, nourishing hug. Finding your breath. No. And sliding up. Let those legs come out and forward and walk them. And just notice if they feel the same left and right today, if they feel different one side to the other, and rock them side to side, letting your hip sockets be juicy. And we're going to bend those knees, come forward into a forward fold. Inhale up. Curve the back. You can hold on to your legs if you like, holding onto the thighs. Curve the back down to the floor. And stretch up all the way. Big breath in, being as long as you can. And then exhale, and just nothing. Just release. Notice your body. Does it feel the same on the left and the right? This is a witnessing without judgment, yeah? So, do you notice that your legs turn out equally or unequally today? For example, I notice that my left leg turns out more than my right leg. That's just how my body is shaped. I notice how my intestines feel today. How does my digestive system feel? How might that be affecting tension in my lower back? There are other organs in your body that you can feel today. Maybe they feel like they're working. Maybe they feel soft and you're used to that or not used to that. Just noticing. And take a big breath, expanding that rib cage. And actively pressing your ribs down and in. So I'm thinking inhale, expand up. Exhale, buckle that vest of your rib cage down and together. And as you're doing that with your arms over your head, it makes you more aware of the relative tension or lack of tension in your armpits. Notice that. Inhale, reach your arms and toes away from each other. Radiate the left side of your body and then the right side of your body. And then draw your belly lock down, your shoulders down, your rib cage down. Start to bend those knees and pull your belly button and lower back into the mat. Swing those arms around the sides. Your chin comes to your chest. Your legs come together. Your belly goes into the floor to roll up. And settle it forward. So we're going to do 3 more of these all the way down, all the way up. You know they won't go on forever. Big breath in. Belly button to spine, tuck your pelvis underneath. Rolling it down, reaching up. Exhale, belly button down, bend the knees, lower back touches the mat. Arms around the side, chin to chest, belly back to come back up. Exhale, soften forward. And one more time. It's okay to grab your legs on the way up and down. Belly is down to the center of the earth. Rise up. Release those shoulders, curl the lower back, hold on to the back of your thighs, and just rock side to side gently, feeling the muscles in your upper buttocks, the back of your pelvis, letting those release. Big breath in. And come to Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose, and walk side to side here. Notice the muscles in your hips, and then curve your back and rock side to side. And come center, drop your chin to your chest, big breath in. Slide your feet out a little bit more and pull your rib cage back so you feel a nice stretch between your shoulder blades and your spine. As you exhale, let your head get heavier, let it really fall. Pull your belly button and spine back. Inhale a bit taller. And we're going to take ourselves onto all fours now for cat-cow. Before we do that, let's go ahead and press back into your downward dog. I'm sorry, into your child's pose. Let's go into child's pose first. Just let yourself feel heavy here. What might you still be holding on to? Maybe you're protecting a little part of your body by not quite releasing. Take a big breath in. Let go a little bit further. Yielding to gravity. And now I'll inhale up into all fours. Dropping your chest down first. Yeah, so I'm letting my shoulder blades pop up away from my spine. I'm just gonna wiggle them. And then circle them. And I'm gonna anchor my shoulder blades back. Pointer fingers forward, only as wide as my shoulders, elbows in, and press the floor away with support. I'm gonna lift my belly in and find a nice flat back for cat-cow. As we inhale to flat back, then we're gonna press away from the floor with our waist and curl up, tucking our tailbone in as much as possible, just like we were against the mat earlier. We're tucking that tailbone. If you're not sure, feel it with your hands, my friends. It's usually easier to open up the upper back in this position, so really think about your lower back reaching for the sky. Inhale back to center, still wrapping our elbows towards our center line. Exhale, drop the chest and lift the tailbone and pull our shoulder blades back and together. Now pull your chin back as well. So we have a long neck. Still lifting our belly lock softly, still active in the hands. Inhale, coming back to flat back. And exhale, tucking it underneath to cat. Inhale. Exhale, cow. Inhale. Exhale. And go ahead and press back to your downward dog. And walk your dog. Come forward into your plank. And knees down, press back into your child's pose. Flip your wrists over and give the back of those wrists a big stretch. Finding your breath. Where can you let gravity take over? Can your hips shift back a little further onto your heels? When you exhale a little more completely, go ahead and place your hands into Sphinx position. So that means their elbows are forearm width apart. You can check that by wrapping your hands around. And then we put our forearms down nice and flat. And I'm going to roll my shoulders 3 times here. And I'm going to go ahead and come up into a Sphinx downward dog. So it's, I don't know, downward Sphinx? It's a downward dog with Sphinx arms. Big breath. Push those arms forward. Let the weight go into the legs. Feel your shoulders be back. And your belly lock floats up in the air. A little centering through those knees. And if you can, shift forward into a plank or modified plank. Tucking your tail underneath you so you really feel those abs working. Knees down, everybody. So you're in a knee sphinx. Rock your hips and knees and come to a modified side plank on your elbow. Lifting one leg. Option to extend, that's a next bus stop. It's a lot more weight. Bend it, legs together, Sphinx. Oops, sorry. Open up. Lift the leg is the next bus stop. Push into your hand as well as your elbow. Shoulder stays back. Extend that leg. Bend the leg, legs together. Back to your modified Sphinx plank and all the way down to the floor. Go ahead and set your hands one on top of the other, elbow to the side, and put your cheek on your palms. Let your neck stretch. Really let go. Relax into that moment. Not worrying about what comes next. Inhale. Bringing your elbows under your shoulders. Come up to a baby cobra and press your hands into the mat. Dropping your chin, lifting your belly, and softly sliding all the way down. Bringing your hands back next to your rib cage. You're going to press up into our full cobra. Remember to pre-engage your abdomen first. And back to your downward dog. And inhale, shoulders back, shifting to your plank. Anytime we come to a plank, it's always okay to put your knees on the ground. Definitely recommend that because we want to prioritize having our elbows micro bent and our tails curved underneath us. Yeah, so shoulders are back. Planks are about your abs, so if you don't feel your abs working, probably means your booty's coming up. Go ahead and shift to your side modified plank. Shoulders are back. Think about that relationship between the twist of your hips and the twist of your shoulders. Come center and switch sides. Shoulder back and come center and drop it down through chaturanga. Back up to child's pose, flip those wrists over so you're pressing the wrists past the knuckles, and this part of the wrist really opens back up. All right, we're going to build our flow from the back of the mat today. Inhaling up. Big breath in. Big exhale. Curl and tuck your hips back. Yeah, pelvis tucks back. Drifting those hips and hands. We're just coming to victorious pose. You can support yourself here, but the pelvis is definitely leaned back. Squeezing those legs together. Let's find some breath in this squeeze. Knees and toes are aligned, so everything's parallel. Big breath in. Pressing my hips up to do so. I'm going to lift up. And exhale, arch, dropping my chest and shoulders. Big breath in. I'm going to come down into a forward fold. Walk that dog, forward fold. And we're going to walk our hands forward to get to our downward dog. Remember, your hands are only shoulder width apart. The elbows wrap around to get down towards each other. Legs are together. Your right leg is going to go up in the air to warrior or three-legged dog. Exhale, tuck it underneath. Shift forward. Exhale, keep it back. Inhale, lift that leg. Three-legged dog. Exhale, tuck it underneath. Go ahead and open your hips if you like. Take a moment to play, whatever you like for the next 3 breaths here in your 3-legged dog. If you are opening the hips, remember we want to keep our shoulders square. And everybody please square those hips again. Rotate those elbows towards each other. Bring your knee underneath yourself and open it out to the side. And stretch your leg to the side option. Bring it back center. And bring that knee forward and through to the pigeon on the floor. Big breath in, lifting up. And take it down for a relax before we move on. And when you're in the pigeon pose, your hips can be both hips on the floor. That's more advanced, one hip at a time. So if you're just getting into this and it's feeling tight, one hip is up in the air or your hips are off the ground, right? No booty on the floor. And you want to relax here. You can build a little pillow out of 2 fists and rest your forehead on that. As you get more flexible, the back leg will sneak back further and further. And my right leg hip here is still off the ground. Two more breaths. What can you relax now? Can you yield into that pose and let the hips drift towards the earth a little more? Can you get one softer, deeper release through that exhale? And then we're going to gather up. So starting with my belly lock, lifting through my spine, centering my shoulders back, hands down by my side. I'm going to draw my back leg in a little bit and use a scissoring sensation. So I'm closing my legs towards each other into the mat. That squish together gives me the power to come up. So I'm squeezing my legs together fiercely to rise. Yielding my shoulders, but hanging on to the effort in my hips and abdomen. Slight tuck of the chin. And then if I want to yield back down into a deeper split, I can now. Still feeling like I'm squeezing a toothpaste out of the top of the tube. And open those arms. And hands to the mat. And tuck up, lifting your right leg to your chest. And sending it back to plank. Chaturanga Vinyasa. And head's going to come down this time, palm over palm, with your face to the other side, which should be your left. Deep relax. Inhale, gathering up your belly lock and root lock into your center, shoulder blades back, lifting up that head, hands by your chest, legs together. We're going to tuck our feet to the floor. We're going to press up through plank or modified plank with your elbows back. We're going to press back into puppy pose. Find a little bounce. Yeah, so you can keep it small here or go all the way to plank. 3 times. And hop it together. We're going to soften those knees. Knees and toes are straight forward together. Grab your hands behind your back. Maybe just a thumb if you can barely reach it, or just a finger, or if you can, wrap those whole palms together. Whew. Pull the arms over your head. Let your hands over your face. Notice which thumb is on top. Yield your neck. Good. Hands back down to those hips. Down to the floor. Up, flat back. Soften, drift down. Inhale, rolling up. Open that chest to the sky. Down to forward fold, soft knees. Up to flat back, legs together. See if you can press the floor away. Good, heels come down at the same time, hands to the floor, hop back to your plank, modified plank. Press back to child's pose and rest. 3 big breaths. Lifting up my pelvic floor, my belly lock. I'm going to pull the weight of my torso back over my thighs. Checking to make sure that my toes are pointing straight back, right? No crossed toes in the back there. Thighs are aligned, so adjust if you need to first. And then we're going to blow out the air and tip your pelvis back. Maybe you want to stay right here and cling to your thighs, that's fine. You can also place your hands back here on your tippy fingertips. Find the place where you can tuck your hips underneath and stay. Next bus stop is hands in namaste. Relax the chest, see if you can yield the chest. Your thighs are working so hard and your abs are working so hard to keep together and square and tipped back. And press the floor. Try to keep your hips back as you do. Big breath in, good job. Open that chest. Find your hands to your hips. Your booty's gonna wanna go out here. I would like you to use your hands to rock your hips underneath. So press on the butt cheeks or the tailbone. Really drop down that vertebrae at the bottom of your spine. And I'm not going as far back as I can with my head and neck yet, because I'm really thinking about not buckling in the waist. I want you to open your front of your hips instead. Yeah, so keeping my abs engaged to support the lower back. And now I'm going to lift my shoulders to support my head, adding the head. That's an option there. So my shoulders are supporting my neck. Chin to chest, come out of that camel pose, big breath in. I'm going to come up and around forward, elbows into my downward dog. And we're going to repeat the whole thing on the left side. Legs are in, walk your dog. Roll your shoulders back. Feel your neck release and reach between your thumbs. Elbows rotate in towards each other, belly button up, right leg floats. And tuck. And back pendulum. Play. Keeping your shoulders square, you can unsquare the hips, opening your left thigh, finding your breath, but still keeping that left elbow reaching down to stay square. Even weight in both hands if you can. Squaring the hips, everybody, no matter where you were. Inhale, tuck, front. Go back to downward dog. And last move, we're going to take that leg out to the side. Twist your knees, fine. Hips are square, shoulders are square. Option 2, extend the leg. And bend, close, and scoot. Left, all the way front. And drop that hip down to where it's going, yeah? So I do not have my hip touching the floor here. I'm going to set my body down on top of it and breathe. Remember, you can stack 2 soft fists to make a little pillow for your head. Take a breath in and let gravity take over a little more. Each exhale, find a place to release. Can you relax your hands? Can you relax your jaw? Maybe a little drool comes out. That's cool, it's your mat. Nobody's judging. Maybe you're ready to spread that back thigh a little further back. Feeling your inner thigh and your outer hip release. Letting yourself be taken by gravity down towards your mat. Letting go of tension in your shoulders. And then we'll stack back in, lifting your pelvic floor and your belly, squeezing those thighs towards each other. I'm going to bring my palms in, and I'm going to, again, be scissoring my legs close towards one another to find the motion to lift up. And once I lift up, I'm going to exhale and relax my shoulders. So my hips and my abs are working. My neck is reaching long. I'm tucking my chin just a little bit to keep that long neck. I'm squeezing the floor, but I'm trying to soften my elbows, soften my hands. And take it back down. Hands on either side of that knee. Lifting up my core. I'm going to lift that knee in. Send it back. Chaturanga Vinyasa. Downward dog. And puppy. All right, from your puppy, this time we're going to put those knees all the way on the earth. And my ribs and chest are dropping. I'm going to creep my fingers out and try to put my heart on the floor. So this is a heart opener. And chin's reaching forward. If this is too much on your neck, then push the floor a little bit and elevate your head so you don't have to crank your neck all the way. And let your tail drag you back into child's pose. Lifting up through cat. Shoulders drop back. Finding your last plank series here. And without spending too much time, plank or modified plank, your choice. We're going to go to side plank or side modified plank. And switch. You might notice one shoulder is harder to keep rolled back as you do the transition. And Chaturanga Vinyasa. Tuck in those toes. And hop it forward. We're going to grab opposite elbows in this forward fold and just drop your chest. If it feels good to sway, you can sway. I'm keeping my knees soft so it's not a hyper deep stretch into my hamstring tendons. Yeah, it's okay for the back of your legs to stretch, but we don't want to feel it right under the butt because that's just the tendon. Go ahead and squat your legs. I'm going to take your hands I'm gonna put my elbows on my knees and my hands to my face. So I'm gonna put my thumb, the base of my thumb, right around my jaw or my cheekbone, and I'm gonna create some traction, like I'm trying to lift my head off. Yeah, so my thumbs are going behind the ear at the base of the skull, and then I'm gonna be in this position with my elbows on my knees and just lean forward. And for me, this extra little traction of like pushing my head out a little bit as I go gives me a little release in the middle of my back. So see if you can find that cantilever spot, dropping my hips back and then my head forward, where you get a nice little stretch there. Sometimes it feels better to be further into the hamstring stretch, and sometimes it's better to lean back. So have a little exploration. And drop those hips back. Bring your knees back together. Big breath in. Sit the hips back into space. Remember, knees and toes. The knees never pass the arches of the balls of the feet. We're going to bring our body up into awkward chair. Shoulders back. Lots of core engagement. Squeezing those legs together. Go ahead and reach across the body, plant the elbow into one knee. Notice if your knees have twisted, your hips are twisting. So we want them to stay the same. Revolve up. And inhale back center. Press up. Open up the front of the hips. Exhale. Really just let those arms open, even though our abs are doing lots of work, our glutes are doing lots of work to press those hips through. Open the chest. Big breath in. Back into your awkward chair. Hands to namaste. Lengthen through the lower back. Twist from the lower back. Elbow braces against the knee. Sitting down and rotating. Knees are aligned with your toes. And back up. And hands to your tailbone this time. Give yourself help, tucking underneath and lifting up and back. Tuck your chin to your chest and then let your neck extend, supporting with your shoulders. Big breath in, chin to chest, shoulders down. And we're going to step out wide. We're going to wiggle those hips down a little bit. So forward and back hips should be pretty loose now. We want to get into our middle of our hip. So we're going to go ahead and press those knees back. So I'm rotating out. Yes, rotating out the thighs. As wide as I like. Your booty when you first get down here is usually out, just like, hello, whatever. I invite you to sling it underneath. So I'm using my abs to sling and tuck that pelvis. And that should give you a big wide leg stretch. And if I'm using my arms to support the weight of my torso, slinging my pelvis underneath and my back starts to release. Big breath in. I'm going to twist my shoulders away from one knee, pressing that knee back so it stays in line with the toes. Inhale, other side. And come down center. Same position, but now your butt's on the floor. You're gonna reach through the inside, not the outside of your legs, the inside. So elbows on the inner thighs to grab those ankles. And walk your feet and thighs apart as needed until you start to feel a stretch in the very center of the middle of your thigh. Knees are bent, knees are back or up. Yes? Once your knee comes inside, then you're no longer stretching the inner thigh, you're stretching a quadricep, and we're not looking for that right now. We're looking for the inner thigh / hamstrings to feel stretched. If you're ready for an increase, you can walk your feet back, still keeping those knees bent. Make some tunnels for your kitten. Let your knees come down if you are no longer feeling the middle stretch. If you're still feeling your inner thighs, then leave them bent, please. All right, I invite you to get your device, whatever it's going to be. If it's going to be a brick, if it's going to be a paper towel, I brought a brick option. I brought a very heavy, firm case of drinks option. I brought a conveniently brick height box. That's pretty helpful. So this box is not super strong on the middle, but it's not so bad across the edges. Okay, so we're here in our middles. Whichever device you're going to use, I invite you to bring it to the center of your body and lift it up. Yeah, lift your torso up, but give yourself ability to relax into that spot, wherever that might be. Could be 18 inches high, 6 inches high, but just so your torso is not working quite as hard. And remember, we're going to leave these legs bent if you're feeling the stretch in the middle. This is where we want to feel the stretch. If it's behind the knees or all the way up in the place where your thigh meets your pelvis, then we're getting tendons, and those we don't want to stretch. We want the muscles to grow longer, so that's what we're asking. But I'm inviting you to find a place that you can rest your head. And slow your breath down. And if you notice you're starting to have your knees roll in, then maybe come out of that stretch a little bit. Maybe bring your feet a little bit more forward. And find a place where you can yield. Sometimes I like to sneak my hands under my knees or my calves to keep them rolled out. Should I relax my jaw? I invite you to relax your face. Gently come on out of it. All right, we're going to switch directions here now. So if you felt like you got a really deep stretch, you can use your arms to help bring yourself back. That way you're not activating that muscle we just stretched. Next, we're going to move into our bridge pose, yes? So we're going to do a supported bridge next, and hopefully you have something to support your bridge with, yes? And what we're going to do is start by putting our feet together, yeah? Close enough that we're not touching. There's maybe 4 inches apart, so if you're not sure how close your feet are and you can't see when your feet are 4 inches apart on the floor, you can easily tap your other toe, yeah, when you're in that position. If they're too close, obviously you know where they are. If they're too far, you'll reach over with the toes of one foot. You can't reach. Yeah, so if we're going for parallel alignment, that's how you can check that you're aligned. All right, so that said, we're going to, before we put in our brick, we're going to rock our hips a few times. So this is cat-cow motion, but we're on our back, or supine, so supine cat-cow. And we're going to take our arms down on either side and gently push the floor away with our heels and glutes, keeping that opening in the hip flexors. So we do that by engaging our abs. Notice that your legs want to kind of fall apart, and we're keeping our centering through our thighs. And then the yield here really comes in your upper body. Can you relax that chest? And go ahead and roll it back down. And we're going to take our item, whatever it is, on a short side. So even like one, if you just have a roll of paper towels, that'll still feel really nice to just lift the hips a couple of inches. And that's your goal here. So you can use your brick. I'm going to roll up, and I'm going to slide it under my butt. And I don't want, you guys, I don't want it up under your lower back. Yes, that's going to let your back hyperextend. So it's got to be just under the butt cheeks or the bottom half of your butt. You can keep it quite low. You can, if you are ready for more, you can come up to your tippy toes even and lift your glutes higher, and then put your heels back down. But we should not have any brick in our lower back. It should be under the tailbone. And then I'm going to let my pelvis and waist fall closer to my shoulders while the brick is gently giving traction out the other direction. Go ahead and take some breaths here. Can you lengthen the back of your head on the mat? And then yield through your chest. Let your eyes close for a moment and just take a little inventory. What's holding on? Where do you feel tension? I'm noticing tension from keeping my legs together, for example. I think I want to leave that tension just so I feel stable. But I think I can relax my neck a little more, my shoulders. So I'll take a breath to do that. Big inhale, and then I invite you to release your jaw and your chest. I'm going to creep my feet out a little bit further. And then I'm going to walk them back in and lift up higher. And I think I want to go for even more of a challenge. So I'm going to take a breath in. I'm going to engage my pelvic floor and my belly first and tuck underneath, just like I'm trying to put my back on the floor like we did at the beginning of class. And I'm going to see if I can put my brick all the way vertical under my pelvis. I'm not sure, but maybe. But once I'm up here, I definitely am working hard now to pull my abdominal wall against the spine and hold my thighs together. So a big stretch here in my hip flexors. Now this is hard for me. Yeah, this is hard for me. So how do I find a yield in this? I'm gonna find my breath. I'm gonna radiate my skull. Take a couple breaths here.
Do the forms online, and you don't have to enter them, but you have to go in
and press up. And then I'm going to come down, most of the way down, back down. All right. So move your brick out of the way now, and let's do a counter pose, which basically means we want to move our body in the opposite direction for recovery. So I'm going to take both of our legs into our chest, holding behind the thigh, and just rest there. And we're going to really take our time. My arms, so I have interlaced fingers to hold my legs up. I'm going to really just try to let my hip flexors relax now. And I'm going to softly invite you to rock your head, your chin side to side. See if you can release the face. in the neck and the upper body. And then softly rock your knees and thighs and hips side to side, finding some release there. And letting your back spread out into the earth and finding all that extra space. And then I'm going to circle my knees with my hands. So I'm not using effort in the thighs or the legs at all. I'm really controlling that movement inwards and outwards with the hands and the arms here. Trying to keep softness in those hip sockets. I'm going to put my feet gently on the floor. Slide them out long. We'll do one more round here. Go ahead. Take a big breath in, engaging your core and sliding your feet gently up. Heels to the ground, shoulders down, radiate through the chest, curling your pelvis and gently lifting those hips back up to the bridge again. It's up to you. If you feel like, whoa, I've had enough bridge, you can just stay right here. If you're ready for the brick one more time, you can take your brick in and lift those hips up. Deep breath in. Check that your waist is dropping your lower back down into the Halloween cat shape. So lower back is going towards the mat. And your tailbone is tipping up. All right. We're at bus stop D or E already. So this one is totally optional. It's quite intense. I'm going to take a foot and tuck it under. My body's already like, I don't know about this today, but you can try it if you like. And then again, belly's down, reaching through that knee. Trying to keep the knee aligned through this deep stretch on one side. Switch to your other leg if you haven't. Partner yoga. That's what we do in person on the last day of class. Release that brick. Take yourself down all the way. Walk your feet back in, knees to your chest. And let your spine release. Little rock side to side. And gently let your feet down to the floor. And you choose. If you're feeling like those hip flexors are really tight after all of that, then I would suggest that you keep your feet close and let your knees knock today. But if you're feeling like your hip flexors are pretty open, then you can slide all the way into Shavasana. Take your hands to your heart and just feel your breath. When you're ready, come back to your body. And gently wiggling your hands and your feet. And when you're ready, drawing a foot in and using it to press yourself onto your side. And let that long leg bring you up. To your easy pose. Thank you for class today. I hope your hips are feeling well opened and you're finding little ways in life to let go of some of that meta stress. Yeah. There are always things we cannot control, and it's okay to do our best without over-questioning it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another live Zoom this week. Week E, Zoom B is tomorrow. Today is week E, first Zoom of the week. And next week will be our final, and then one more Zoom. So our last day will be next week, Zoom B. Thank you guys. I hope you had a fabulous time. And thanks to my assistant here, being a little bit saucy. But we're learning. The first time you climbed on me in class. Yeah, it was kind of funny. Yes. Little assistant. Say goodbye, Miss Scotty. Miss Scotty. He says, where's my toy?
Thanks, Professor.
Thanks, guys. Yay. Yes. Okay. So there's a really good question in here for those of you who want to hang out for a second about how do we get the weight instead of being all on the heels of your hand and then it like really feels crunchy in that wrist. And the answer is building up forearm strength. Yeah. So here's an exercise you can do at home. I'm glad it's the end of our day. Go ahead and show me how excited you are that you just turned 10 years old. 10 years old, yes. And go ahead and you can even arch those wrists back a little bit. And then we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna come all the way down and squeeze. Yeah, already, since we've already been on our hands quite a lot in today's practice, you should feel this kind of squeeze and feel maybe a little bit tired. And you can just do a few of those like this. Da-da, 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 da-da. And this, for people do lots of arm balancing, this is a warm-up that they do sometimes. So if you're getting ready for class and you know being on your wrists is hard, this can be a really effective way to just immediately build strength. Are you getting tired already in your forearms? Do, 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 do. It looks so easy, but most people are like already burning. I know I am. Yeah. And then make sure we stretch those things out afterwards. There's also a device, if those of you who are, I was introduced to this device from my weightlifting partner, but it's called the wedge. And so you put it in like a gauntlet. You put your hand into this thing like a gauntlet and grab it. Yeah. Hopefully down here. We want to get all the way down here. And it just has a little resistance band and a little bar. And you just pull the bar down. So you get even just that action should start to get through here. And then when these guys are strong, then instead of just slumping into your balls of your, the heels of your wrist, then this muscle helps to distribute the weight across the knuckles and the fingertips. So another thing to think about is when your hands are on the floor, you want to think about pressure, especially in these first two knuckles and through all of the points of the finger, almost like you're trying to press the floor enough to have a little blueberry underneath the palm of your hand. So if we're not activating the hands and the fingers, then we're not activating this, and then you get that that smashy feeling here, which is especially worse for people who already have tendonitis in the wrist, because tendonitis is basically just that this area has inflammation in what is here mostly is your tendons. And so you want your muscles to be strong enough that your tendons aren't constantly inflamed because they're being torqued, right? So if we can support through here and get this inflammation down, then these can shift and slide without rubbing and causing more friction and then more inflammation. Because instead of the pressure being here with all the weight right there in the wrist, it gets transferred and distributed throughout the whole section. I'm surprised that you don't have to do this for aerials. I bet it will help with aerials because it's all about gripping, right? Those are my hot tips. Anything else I can do for you today?
What did you say that tool's called? Gauntlet?
Oh, the tool is called, sorry, I don't think I said the wedge. The tool is called the
The wedge.
wedge.
Oh, the wedge, okay.